Welcome to the Stella Wembley interview on the OnStage podcast. As you see, I'm wearing a different hat because I wanted to match hers and my fedora. I got like
Exactly.
four of these. So Stella is a graduate from the Conservatorio de Musica San Pietro la Majella. Did I say it right?
Majella.
Majella
Yeah.
of Naples. Stella Wembley is a new rising star of the UK dark synth Gothic scene. She's an accomplished music producer, video director, composer, lyricist, multifaceted musician, and truly exceptional vocalist. With her captivating take on the genre, Stella leads listeners into a haunted realm, laying bare her soul through powerful and evocative deep lyrics. Her music is a psychodrama of tragedy and melancholic sensuality. Where'd this black cloud descending upon me from? Just kidding.
Mm.
Her music is a psychodrama of tragedy and melancholic sensuality, singing powerfully yet with a hint of vulnerability. A visionary artist, Stella defies description and continues to enchant audiences worldwide. Welcome to the podcast. Pleased to meet you, Stella.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very
That was
welcome.
a great introduction. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you for setting up this interview. I really appreciate it. Um,
it's my
th-
pleasure. It's totally my pleasure. I love your content and I love your interviews.
oh, thank you so much. And let's give you a good one as well. I'd like to ask you, what inspired you to pursue a career in a dark synth gothic music scene? Can you go back to the beginning where it all started?
It's difficult to say when it started because it wasn't really planned. So I really didn't plan, to be in this music style. I was put in this category because my music sounds gothic, and my outfit is gothic, and everything basically matches that type of music style. But I never meant to be in that genre. In fact, I never listened to gothic music until I was put in this category, let's just say. I think that my lyrics have always been very dark and dramatic since I was a child. Since I was 10, I've been writing lyrics, not just songs. I've been writing poetry, and they always been quite dark, very personal, autobiographical, and dramatic, and with these themes of darkness, life and death. And I think that when I discovered also different musical styles, I used to listen pop music, and actually I still do. I like different type of music. My tastes are very eclectic. So it's not like I listen to one thing. I listen to a lot of different type of music, a lot of different type of bands. I really don't care. Or I don't mind, the genre, as long as it resonates. As long as the song resonates with me, I listen to it. And I think that when I found out how my songs were, and also probably, yeah, hearing the feedback of people, and also I think that when I discovered a fantastic band that I always listen, is my favorite band ever, Depeche Mode. I really I really started, looking for this type of music, because in Italy, the country where I am from, this type of music is not very popular. There is just pop music, Italian music, classical music, that I have studied, and so I think that I could relate more to that type of music, to mostly to the 80s, not really to gothic music. As I said, I never listened to gothic music. I just recently, in the last 4 or 5 years, I started listening to it. But I think that I think I could relate more to that type of music. to the themes. Um, I really like to think that when you create a song, when I create a song, I I really talk about my personal experiences, of course, and there are recurring themes. So I relate more to that. I don't know why. It's just the way it is. And yeah, when I moved to London, um, I think that the vibe and the culture there was there, not just the music scene, like the environment, all the cemeteries, the history of London. It had an impact on me, and also on the type of songs that I have written. Like most of the songs that I have written that are very dark um, were written and produced in London, and so I think that yeah, your environment can definitely influence your music. But I think that first of all, it was something that it was already inside me, and then I developed with the time.
Interesting, Stella. You were mentioning that you believe that Depeche Mode is like a gothic band.
No,
Um,
no, no, it's not a gothic band, but I think that it has a gothic vibe. You know, at least the style, especially the way they dress up, and the themes are, to me, they are quite dark and gothic. But yeah, no, they are not classified as gothic band. They're synth pop band. But Depeche Mode is Depeche Mode. It's, you can't just put them in a category, I think.
Actually, there is a category of gothic bands, and the bands would be like Sushi and the Banshees, Bauhaus, Fields and the Nephilim,
Hmm.
Sisters of Mercy, The Cure, Joy Division, The 69 Eyes, Christian Death, The Damned, Lacuna Coil, London After Midnight, Type O Negative is another gothic.
Yeah, I love Type O Negative. Yeah, I love them. Yeah. Um, I listen to some of Bauhaus. I listen to Cabaret Voltaire. Um, but yeah, mostly I think I listen more to synth pop and new wave, Duran Duran, Tears for Fears, and yeah, yeah, Killing Joke, Killing Joke. Um, and I used to listen actually to, and I still love them. Um, the post punk and grunge scene. So I love the grunge and post punk scene. I love Nirvana, and also what else? Velvet Underground. Um, and you mentioned Lacuna Coil. I really love Evanescence. Actually, I am about to cover a song by Evanescence, and all the other bands that you mentioned are also the Sister of Mercy and The Cure. I also like them, but I really don't really listen to them. I'm more into to the synth pop, yeah, new wave, yeah, more into that.
More groups like Paradise Lost, Gene Loves Jezebel, The Cult, Clan of Zymox, Dead Can Dance, Killing Joke, like you mentioned,
Hmm.
Cocteau Twins. I would never thought that they were a gothic band.
Mm.
Birthday Massacre, Alien Sex Fiend. Okay, I think I'll go that. I don't want to go that far. Alien Sex Fiend. But what about classical? Do you like listening to like Mozart or Beethoven once in a while?
Used to listen to classical music. I don't anymore, but I love it. There are, for sure, there are classical uh, musical, like orchestration elements. There are orchestra elements in some of my songs. So I used to listen to Wagner. I used to listen to opera, Puccini. I have studied also Verdi, so Verdi, Puccini, and Francesco Paolo Tosti. It's more like it's called aria da camera. It's chamber music, and that's what I have been studying at the Conservatory for my degree. And yeah, I used to listen to that. Actually, not anymore. I'm more into, yeah, new wave, and synth pop. And regarding pop music, I love Lana Del Rey. It's actually the one of the female artists that I really love, and I think there are similarities. We have things in common, especially the vocal range is quite similar. So yeah, and Bjork, of course, I love Bjork.
Oh, Bjork. Oh, wow. You see her in those dresses? I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, she has like a very distinctive style. It's her style.
I could never understand Gothic though, because does that mean that if you're into goth, does that mean you're into watching horror movies and anything that's dark, like Twilight Zone and massacre movies, like
I wouldn't say that Twilight Zone is, to me. I mean, Twilight Zone is something really new. For me, Gothic is something quite old as a culture. That's new goth. Twilight Zone. It's more for teenagers, I would say. For me, Gothic, if we want to talk about Gothic culture, it's more about watching like Hammer horror movies, or there are like the the most basically famous horror movies, Hammer horror movies, British Gothic horror. Um, and for me, one thing is, I think they say that one thing is the Gothic music and another thing is the Gothic style. So you can dress up Gothic, but you don't listen to Gothic music. Or either you can, you know, listen to music that is Gothic, classify it as Gothic, and don't dress up as a Gothic. But there are, different type of point of views. Um, that's what they say. They usually say that to be Gothic, you have to listen to Gothic music. I don't know. I mean, I think it's just the way you 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 are. It's your influences, the way you come across. I don't think that you have to listen to Gothic music to be classified as Gothic. I personally don't want to be classified as anything. I just do me. I am me. So if I write a song and it sounds Gothic, okay, but I don't think that I want to be put in a box or in a category, because I could like write something completely different, in 2 or 3 years. I'm really into movies. I love movies. I always been a movie lover. Actually, before going for the conservatory and before applying for the before sending my application, basically, because you have to apply. You can't just you have to audition. To get into the conservatory. So before doing that, um, I studied for 6 months in a university. I studied drama. I studied movies, cinematography. Sorry, I studied cinematography because I really wanted to learn more about everything. The cinema has always fascinated me. Um, and yeah, horror movies, but not the ordinary horror movies, like more the mysterious one, the one that are mysterious. I like them. I don't like splatter. I don't like the horror movies they produce today. I like the old fashioned movies. And I love Kubrick. I love I love Dario Argento and David Lynch. I like Steven Spielberg as well. So, and I love gothic fiction as well.
I know exactly what you're talking about, Stella. With the whole Gothic, I was speaking. My favorite band is Bad Mary. You should check them out with Amanda Mack and yeah, so they're good music. And they say this music. There's colors in music. So their color was magenta and black. What would you say was your color for your music? Is it black and magenta? What do you think? Like I see a little red back there. Like maybe the light is making your room red, or Is black
Um,
mostly one of the colors in your music?
I have to check that band. In my music video, it depends on the music video, but usually I always go for three colors. Um, well, black is it's not really classified as a color, but as I think that most of my video are quite dark. But I always go for white, red, and blue, and these are the three colors that I always go for, except for I think for music video, wasting my time that I have directed, we went for green and white. Um, and there was no red. No, I don't think there was any red. Green and white, and I think there was a bit of a yellow. And so yeah, these are the colors that I go for. It really depends on the video, but yeah, these are the most used colors. And I think that you can find similar colors in Suspiria. Um, yeah, blue and magenta. I think there is some magenta as well. It really depends on the camera. I think that on the second video that I have filmed images of that, there was more magenta just because of the camera that I used. Because at the time I didn't have a professional camera, so I shot that video with my phone, and it was a smartphone, not even an iPhone, and so how is it translates the color, it's just different. So if you are filming with the color that is red, it can be translated as magenta sometimes. But definitely I don't think there is some magenta sometimes in my photo shoots, but I love red. I love to play with the red and white and blue, and sometimes green. I like green as well. It just really depends on the mood of the song. I always match the colors according to what I want to communicate.
Can you tell us a little bit about your experience at the Conservatorio di Musica San Pietro a Majella of Naples?
Yeah, of course. So those were years of hard work, like really hard work. I think that they made me stronger. They made me the musician that I am today, because I've studied like I was very disciplined. I always been a hardworking person. I always been in my blood, and to be the kind of person that if I want to do something and I'm very passionate, I do it. But when I studied at the conservatory, well, of course, there was a lot of competition. So I had to work really hard and try to be basically the best singer that I could be. Um, and yeah, from one point of view, it was a good experience because it taught me to sing very well. I can sing almost everything except from some type of musical style that require a very specific technique, like metal, for example. Actually, I used to sing metal, but I did it for a few years before.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to sing. Actually, I used to sing Metallica and Iron Maiden before studying opera. But when I started studying opera, I had to stop singing certain type of music because it wasn't really possible, with that type of technique. And
Gothic opera sounds pretty interesting.
yeah, well, I was actually more into the screaming, with the metal. It was more into that.
Oh, like Christina Dene from Phantom of the Opera.
More like Slayer.
Mm.
Um, but then, yeah, when I started studying opera and yeah, classical music, it was so interesting to find out what's my vocal range, and to learn basically all the techniques and about yeah, vocal health. And it really was, yeah, it was really amazing to find out everything, and also to learn about my body, and how it works, how the breathing techniques affects, the way you sing, how to hold your notes, and yeah, all the type of different styles, that you can have, all the type of different vocal techniques within the opera singing. I also studied contemporary singing as well, so I was able to sing in both ways. And on the bad sides, talking about the bad sides, as I said, it was very competitive, it was very lonely, I had no friends. I felt like everyone hated me, and actually still something that is going on. I think it's just the music industry. um so yeah, it was very lonely, and I think that I was pushing myself too much most of the times, because the teachers were really demanding. I think that they knew that I could give more, so they were demanding more. But at the same time, they I think they weren't very encouraging. Like, they I think they were, some of the teachers, they were putting me down. And so some of the things they said, I think they affected me in a very negative way. What I
Mm.
mean by saying that is that I kind of lost my self-confidence. um yeah, I think that I lost my self-confidence during that period, because I think I felt like I was never good enough.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's a negative side. um but I think that, it's what you get, when you start in this business, and that there are people that they're always judging you. They will always judging, when you put something online, there are people that are judging you. And where, of course, where you're studying, in a conservatory or in a university, there will be points, there will be, like, scores. And so it's difficult to understand that those scores don't necessarily mean that you're worth that. They're just scores. It's an opinion of people, they do that. And I just, started to think, okay, even if, I'm getting like very high scores, am I really satisfied with this? Like, is this really what I want to do? Then I found out, and I came to the conclusion that it wasn't, because I wanted to write my own songs. I didn't want to perform other songs. And more importantly, I didn't want to be told how to sing that song. I mean, I
Mm.
of course, if your teacher is giving you a feedback, that's great, and but it was like they wanted to change who I was. I want to be free, and in charge of, like, interpreting a song the way I want it and the way I feel it. So I'm not talking about the technique, I'm talking about, like, the interpretation. So if I feel like that type of song, I need to give more, on that verse. I want to be free, of doing that, not being told, oh, because it is written in this way, you have to do it like this. Why? I mean, who says that is right? I mean, what's right? I mean, if I am a creative, I need to express myself. I don't
Hmm.
want to have these limits, like limitations. So yeah, that's how I I decided to pursue, a career in the contemporary music and just write my own songs.
How do you approach the process of composing and producing your music?
It's always different. It's always different. It's never the same. Um, of course, I write all my lyrics, so it's always starting with lyrics. Actually, it's very rare that produce a song starting with the music and the instruments, without the lyrics. So I usually start with lyrics, and then a melody comes up, and then after writing the lyrics, that they just come out from, I would say, from nowhere. It's not like from nowhere, but it's just inspiration. I don't really decide to write something. I don't just sit down and say, okay, I'm gonna write a song. No, it just comes like naturally to me. And and when it comes, and I have this inspiration, then the first thing that I do, I find what type of rhythm the song can have. So the bass and the drums are usually the first thing. Drums and bass. Sometimes I don't want to have bass. Bass is very important, of course, but some songs don't have bass. I think there is a song that it doesn't have bass, that I produced. So yeah, drums, bass, first thing. Then synthesizer. Uh, Usually I have like melodies, like synth lines in my mind. So I compose them, with my synthesizer. Usually I have a Korg, a micro Korg, that I use for my performance, but also for recording. Or I record in MIDI. I have an Akai professional MIDI keyboard. It's a very small keyboard, but you can do a lot with that, because it's very precise. When you play. Um, and so yeah, synth lines, and then after that, if I think that the song needs other instruments, then I add them. I add other layers, um, orchestral elements. If it's a song, where I want to have like cellos or violins, I add them. I have different plugins in my software that have very good sounds. They have like samples of like orchestra. So I use that. I think it's called Symphonic Orchestra by Steinberg. And then if it's a song where I want to have the guitar, I record the guitar. I don't try to record like a perfect take. I just record whatever I have in my mind, and then I come back to that days after or weeks after, or whatever, when I'm producing a song. It really depends on the song. um yeah, so, or with the acoustic guitar or the electric guitar. And then I listen to the song, and I just listen to my gut instinct, and then I produce the song, mostly looking for the type of effects that I want to have that can really shape the song. When I record the vocals, I always like record takes in when I basically have like a melody. I record the melody, and then I come back to that. When I'm ready to sing the song and to record the song, then I record the final vocals. I used to record my vocals just using my sound card, which is also a small mixer, and then having all like the effects, all the compression, all the limiter afterwards. But then, because it was so hard for me to edit that in the post production, especially for vocals, it was so hard, because my vocals are very dynamic, and so I found that I was like wasting so much time trying to match, like the low range to the high range, because my high range, like, is I just, my voice is so loud, and even though you use compression on a track, it's not enough. For me, I had to edit every single bits what I sing sometimes. So that's usually what producers, do, what they do, like edits for a production. But because I am just one person doing everything, it's just so like a very long process. um, and actually I found out that a solution for me is to sing with a compressor already. So I bought this. First of all, I bought a compressor, an analog compressor from Behringer, and it has like de-esser, limiter, compressor, and I think there is also an EQ in the unit. It's actually here. You can see it, and I'm also using it, to record and to podcast and everything. And I connected it to a preamp, which I didn't have at the beginning, and it changed everything for me. The I think the vocals are much better when I record them, and I can hear myself better with the preamp. It's a preamp by Presonus. It's a really good preamp, and it has also a compressor, and it has an equalizer, and it has also a tube preamp inside. So it has a very vintage, warm sound. That it was actually what I was looking for, because all my vocals used to be, they were good, my recordings, but they were kind of like cold, like flat, and I wanted to have something warmer, something actually that matches my style, um, and also there is, yeah, more similar to my voice, because my voice is kind of warm. It's not it's not like a cold tone. My voice is kind of warm. So yeah, with this preamp, the compressor, so there are actually two compressors working together that I use. Then I record the whole thing, and then I usually apply also uh, more compression afterwards, when I'm producing the vocals. uh, but I don't have, to go through the whole thing, the whole recording, and find out, all the parts that are basically too loud, because it doesn't happen. When I'm recording, basically the vocals are already compressed. It works for me, and so that's how I record. Then I mix the song, which for me is still the most difficult part of, the whole thing, mixing. I mix in my home recording studio where I am right now, and then I master the songs and with WaveLab. And depending on the type of song that I'm producing, I might add saturation, I might add distortion, or I could just leave it, as it is, and just have a very small, compression on the song for the mastering.
Are there any themes or emotions that you aim to convey through your lyrics?
Well, most of my lyrics are very dark. There are themes, as I said, of death, afterlife, sorrow. So I don't do it on purpose. So it's not like that I want to convey, these emotions. It's just very spontaneous, and I think that my songs are very melancholic, dramatic. Um, there is betrayal, there is loss of loved ones, so death. Um, there is a lot of mysticism and eroticism, and sometimes I like to shock the audience. Like with my new single, I wanted to shock the audience and to make them feel like very anxious and also like preoccupied, and I like sometimes to shock the audience. And yeah, I think that I'm kind of moody, so every song is different. Of course there are things in common, but every song is different from another. um a song that I produced, wasting my time, there are always elements of um, like dark elements and reference to death, afterlife, um, yeah, darkness and light. But there are also other themes like self empowerment and self worth, and also it's very, yeah, it's very empowering. And I think that I want like to give this message to the audience, which is like finding yourself, um, be free, and really be yourself without without having the fear to be judged by others. So like be very unapologetic, be yourself. That was, the message that I wanted to give in that song. So it really depends on the song. But yeah, most of the themes are very dark. Um and yeah, there are lots of like love um love songs, that I've written. So for sure there are, like heartbreaks. Most of the times it's about a love story that it ends up very, very badly. So like tragedy. Um yeah, I think those are the emotions. And I think actually I was told that by many people that have listened to my music and that came to my live shows, that when they listen to my music, is like they are brought to another dimension. It's like they are tripping. And I think that it's true. Maybe when I'm singing or when I'm performing, I am going somewhere else, and I don't know. It's like my mind is traveling, and it's like I'm there but I'm not really there. And so maybe that's what the audience means, when they say, "Oh, your songs bring me to another place." They bring me somewhere else, to places, and you give me like a vision of something else. When I'm there, I'm not there anymore.
Very well spoken, Stella. And when you mention love songs, I'm thinking, is there love in goth?
Of course, yeah, of course, there is love in goth. I mean, if you think about Dracula, isn't that love? I mean, of course, is a very passionate and self-destructive love, but that's love. I mean, who's to say what is love? Love is different from for everyone, I guess.
Can you describe the creative process behind the EP, All That I Need? Now, you have a song called I'll Meet You Sometime,
Hmm.
and the rest are like remixes of All That I Need. Now, a lot of lyrics are based on experiences. What experience did you have through I'll Meet You Sometime?
Well, I'll meet you sometime is about a man. Is about a love story that I had. Actually, most of the songs that I have written are about this person. Um, and well, I had this relationship. It was a very it changed my life. This relationship, I think it was probably the my first love. So when the relationship ended, I felt like I lost a part of myself. I was missing a part of myself, because I think when you give so much to another person, and then that person is not there anymore with you, it's like it's part of yourself is gone. And I think that song, it was about him, about his personality. It was a very, very cold man, mm, difficult to understand what was going on in his mind. And that's what the song is about, this person. But it's also about the hope of meeting someone else one day, um, that is not like him, So yeah, that's what the song is about. And is yeah, it's a very melancholic song. Is a love song, as you said. And it's a song of goodbye, but also maybe I'll meet you another, someday. Like saying I'll meet another person that is not, like you, um, but that I can really, I can love and I can feel that he's um, is loving me as I love him, because I never felt like he was loving me as I was loving him. And so, yeah, that's what the song is about. There is no official music video for that, but there is a music video for All That I Need that I have directed and produced.
I love that video. How did you bring that one to life? That's a great music video.
It's a bit magical, how it happened, because it's all about inspiration. I think when you have something in your mind, um, I visualize, everything. I visualized everything in my mind, and then I've written down everything. Of course, I was the director, but I also written the story of the whole video. So that I have written the story, and I've done the storyboard. I drew everything, every single scene. I drew it. I saw it in my mind, and then I put it on the paper. Um, and so everything, that I was seeing in my mind, I was writing it down, and then I did it. And it was hard to film that video. It was very hard. It wasn't easy, and it took 3 days to film that music video, because there were three locations, and it takes place in the Middle Ages. So that's how I wanted to have that type of vibe. But all the costumes are kind of contemporary. So the outfits are contemporary, and the type of video that I wanted, it was, of course, a dark video, but I never meant to deliver a gothic video. I never meant to. I just produced what I had in my mind, you know and we shot. We only had two people. I only had two persons in as a team: the video maker and an assistant to help with the lights. That's it. And I think we did an incredible job, having only two persons. Then there were two actors. There was a male actor and the actresses, the actress in the video, and he was playing a demonic man. She was playing an angelic woman, so she looks like an angel. She has this beautiful white dress. You can just see it at the end of the video. And so there were these two characters. I was playing the gothic lady, so I was dressed up as a goth young lady. So there is this contemporary element, that I bring into the video. And it was a full moon night, and I chosen that night because I knew there was going to be the full moon. One thing that I really love to have in my videos, there are like real things. I'm not a green screen fan. I never use a green screen, even though it can
Hmm.
be very useful.
Hmm.
I want to have real elements. So I wanted to have a real cemetery. I wanted to have a real full moon, and then we shot. So that day we shot in the cemetery.
You said you wanted everything real, so didn't you have to find a funeral and shoot around it? And how did you get around that one? Like, what are you doing here? Who's that lady? Who's that?
You mean the cemetery?
Yeah, the cemetery one with the real funeral. Like, how did you have to do a locate? Like, you had to find a cemetery and then find a funeral, and
No, there was no funeral there. There is no funeral scene.
but you had to find a cemetery somewhere.
Yeah, it's a cemetery in London. It's a beautiful cemetery. It's a very old cemetery. Um, and I did my research. I did my research when I was in London. I went to the cemetery, and I studied all the locations and where I wanted to film all the type of scenes that I wanted, and I drew them. and then I think that I made like 50 or 52 pages, during every single scene, because I think there were like 52 scenes, and
Wow.
and we went there during the night. That's what we did, you know. Um, and there was no one, so there was no one around, who is going to be around during the night in a cemetery. I don't think not many people, at least not alive ones. So yeah, that's how I did it. And I also was not just the director, I was also the manager, because since we had to be on a schedule, right? So it took like 7 hours, I think 8 hours in the cemetery. By the way, it was kind of
Hmm.
long because it was so big, that place, that to get to one point to another point, it was taking like 5 or 10 minutes, walking with all the equipment. And then we had to uh, prepare all the scene, just two persons preparing all the scene, with all the equipment, the lights, the costume, and the props, the blood scenes, where I am basically having, there is one scene where I'm dead, and you can see me when the demonic man is holding me, and I'm bleeding. So that scene, I think that we did that at the end, because it was really complicated to remove all that fake blood.
Hmm.
You really need to have a shower after that, and it stains.
Hmm.
It can stain the outfit.
I
So
know that for sure.
I had to plan that and to have that, at the end. So planning, scheduling the whole thing. That's how I did it. Every single scene, I knew how long it was going to last. Like 6 seconds. And of course, I had a great director, video maker. His name is Riccardo Cavani. He's a filmmaker, actually. He's not a video maker. He's a filmmaker. And so I was keeping the time schedule. He was keeping the time. That's how we did it. And I think that the second day or the third day, I don't remember which was the second or the third day, but we had other 2 days filming. Another day was in the church, and another day was in the Tudor suite. So other two locations. And the church was not in London, it was a bit farther. I think it was 45 minutes from London. And I
Hmm.
chose that one because it was the only one that I really liked, and it had Tudor elements. I think it was actually a bit older. I think it was from the 13th or 14th century. And whereas the Tudor elements, like the real Tudor elements from the 15th and the 16th centuries, were in the Tudor suite where we shot. It was in a hotel when we filmed, but this hotel has all of these real elements, real objects, from the 15th and the 16th century, and I really, really love that. um, I put my money into that, because we didn't pay, to film in the church, and also in the cemetery we didn't pay. I put my money into that Tudor suite, and that was expensive. It was in London. It was really expensive, but it was worth it. I think it was really, yeah, it was really worth it. And it was amazing to film that. And I was also organizing all the rose baths that I purchased these roses. I think the day after they delivered it, so they were very fresh, and they were actually like a custom made, because I have chosen the size and the color of the roses, and then I cut them, and then I put them all over the bed. And then also I remember that I also placed all the candles, like red and black candles, and also those ones were sort of custom made, because they weren't like just the cheap candles that you buy, on the internet. They were made, I think, by a company in London, and they were like real black, real red, not dyed. not paraffin candles. And I think they looked very very good in the video. And it was the first time for me in like acting in a music video. I never done that before, and it was the first time for me doing like an erotic scene. And I actually found that I felt very comfortable doing that. I didn't feel uncomfortable, maybe because I have written that, so I don't know, I just was aware of what was going to happen, whereas the actor was very uncomfortable. And
Mm.
so the hardest thing for me that day was trying to make him feel more comfortable and calm it down, because he was feeling very anxious. Uh, but I loved doing that. I loved doing that, those scenes, and I loved how the filmmaker filmed the scenes, and then we worked together. Um, we really had a really good relationship, and he was listening to my feedback and how I wanted the scenes. The if I wanted to have a medium shot, he was doing that. I wanted to have a close up shot, he was doing that exactly how I wanted it. So yeah, we really had a good understanding. And I think, yeah, as you said, I'm very happy with the results. How it came, and then we did the editing together. We met up. It took a few days, and we did the editing together. And I was telling him, "Oh, look, this scene. I think the color. You can adjust it a bit more." So we worked together on the editing too.
Yeah, if you're stuck in a cemetery at night and you have people approaching you, there's one way to get rid of them. You go, "You can see me?"
Well, I'm pretty sure. Look, I've been to cemeteries in the evening. Sometimes even by myself, and I can assure you there is no one. No one goes in a cemetery in the evening. Only there are only that people really, and that's what I like about cemeteries, because they are so quiet. And I don't like the noise of crowds. I'm not really into parties or that type of thing. So I actually find that cemeteries are very peaceful.
Yeah, the cemetery my parents are buried and a few friends, um, there's a suburb of rows of houses, and sadly, they have to look through their window and see a cemetery, and I'd be like, "No, I'm moving."
Are you
Um,
are you afraid of cemeteries? Are you scared?
no, I'm not. It just reminds me of that scene from Poltergeist where, the whole issue is that they removed the stones and kept the bodies so that the houses were built on top of the graves. So so that all those poltergeists were the people complaining that, uh, "You can't build on top of us." This is amazing how you did that, All I Need, and how you actually put that all together. Like, I'm surprised, like, how do you balance being your music producer, you're a video director, you're a musician? How do you deal with your mental health? What keeps you sane?
Mm, well, it's hard, at times. I always say to musicians, especially those that are younger than me, that mental health is so important. It's very important to look after your well-being, physical and mental health. And with all the pressure that musicians have, especially independent musicians, because people don't realize how much work there is beyond something, even just one single song, and so me being a music producer, a director, and singer and songwriter, everything, manager, marketing, promoter, everything, it is hard to maintain, like, it's really hard at times, to look after my mental health. Sometimes we can forget about it. um, but I found a balance, recently, in the recent years, because before I was really like, work, work, work. I need to make it. I need to do my best, and I was forgetting about my physical health. Um, I mentioned to my audience, and I actually was very open about it recently. I never talked about that before, but then I said, okay, I want to say this. There is nothing wrong with showing my weaknesses, because everyone has them. It's human. We are human beings, aren't we? So I have been dealing with chronic pain for several years since I was 16, and I never realized. I always thought that was a weakness. That is something that I had to hide, from others. But it's not. It's actually something that made me stronger, because I always felt like I needed to do more. I needed to push myself harder than the average people because of this issue. If because of my pain and my chronic pain, I get tired. um I would say, yeah, I just get tired more often. And even when I play songs, playing the guitar, I had issues with my back, with my shoulder pain, because of my chronic pain. And then I decide, okay, this has to stop. I can't sacrifice my health for music or for anything else, for anything or anyone. It comes first. Health comes first, because if you don't have your health, you can't function. You can't have a career. I mean, you can have a career, but you're going to be very dysfunctional. I think, yeah, you're not going to. I mean, there is a point where you're going to crash. Your body cannot take it anymore, if you neglect your mental health and your physical health. So the way I did it, I started to taking care of myself more. When I want to take a break, I take a break. I have recently I decided to also start a part-time job, because of my chronic condition. I need therapies, so I need to see a therapist. Now I am seeing a therapist less, because my conditions, my chronic pain has been improving, luckily. But I see my therapist. I had counseling sessions. I do meditation, um, all of these type of things, and I keep myself active. I love doing physical exercise. I love swimming, and I try to do that at least twice a week. And I find that really helps me. It helps me. I sleep better. I feel better, and I pay a lot of attention to my diet, to what I eat, to what I put in my body, and that's actually what I do. I don't drink alcohol anymore. I don't smoke. I don't do any drugs, and I think that to be in this industry, or actually in any industry, to be successful, you have to have a very sharp mind. So that's how I balance, my career. When I think that I need a break, I take a break. If sometimes I work more, that I should, because I don't have, people working for me at the moment. Hopefully this is going to change very soon. I think it will. And so that's how I do it. Yeah, sometimes it's difficult. But I am very happy to say that I feel better, and I've suffered from depression in when I was younger. I i am a completely different person. Like, if I look myself in the mirror right now, and then I was looking, to the old Stella. It's like it's a completely different person. I um i used to be, um I don't want to say that I was shy, but I wasn't so self-confident, and I wasn't so self-aware, and I was struggling with boundaries and control, and I always, like, I had to prove myself. And now I understand I don't have to prove anything. The only competition is myself. So if I am creating a song and I put it online, and I am happy with that, no matter the imperfections, I know I did the best that I could. um so I try to, I think I create like a bubble, maybe every musician can do it, like create a bubble around yourself and keep yourself like really motivated and positive thinking, positive affirmations every day. I try to do them every day, reminding myself how I am strong, how I am talented, how I can make it, and it really keeps away all the negativity and all the negative thoughts, even in your mind. I think controlling like your mental health and your physical health, they go together, of course, but it all starts from the mind. It's a mindset, it's not something that someone else can, someone else, of course, can tell you about it and they can teach you, but it's something that you need to understand and you need to start for yourself. I've done lots of readings, books that I be reading regarding, yeah, how to succeed. I watched a lot of positive like affirmations videos on YouTube. I listen to, yeah, successful people affirmations, successful people speeches. That's what it keeps me going. Having like, yeah, just surrounding myself with positive thinking and keeping the negativity around, like the negativity out of my life. In this way, negative people, I detached from all the negative people, or the people that I felt they weren't supporting me. I cut all the cords. um it's, I just really, I know that I have myself, and that's enough. Myself and spirit, how you want to call it, God. I have myself and my faith. And yeah, I would say recommending to other musicians to really be aware of who they are and do lots of readings. I could recommend a book that has changed my life, which is titled Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And it's not really a book about money. It's not a book about money. It really, it teaches you. It's a bit of a spiritual book. I'm still reading it. I always have to go through it, and I go through it all the time. um I would recommend that. And other really books related to, yeah, how to be successful, how to control, like really to understand what's the right mindset, to succeed. And yeah, of course, having a very healthy lifestyle for me is the first thing. Otherwise you can't succeed, you can't be taken seriously in this business, I believe.
Yeah, you're correct. There's actually a book that really changed my life. In fact, there's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. But the one book that I read was one written by Barbara Walters, the interviewer herself, Barbara Walters, back in 1971. It's called how to speak how to talk to anybody about practically anything. It tells you how to speak to CEOs, how to speak to bakers, how to speak to homeless people, how to and I used a lot of these methods to get me out of my shell to be able to speak to anybody about practically anything. Even my friend's father who refused to speak to me or anybody who's low intelligence, I decided and I took the book and I thought, okay, and then I started sharing and talking to him well, I didn't tell him I read the book. I told him I used one of the instances in the book on how to speak to people because he was a CEO of his company. He was like a real estate agent. I spoke to me. He said, "You're so intelligent. Oh, I love." So it works like that. Um,
You have to
I
send me
really
the
love.
link. You have to send me the link. I think it's
Yeah,
going to
it's a
be a
good
very
book.
useful book.
It is Barbara Walters. I think she wrote it when she was in her 20s or 30s, but It was a really good book, still pertinent for today.